Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the analysis of YOLENO TV. I hope you're well from wherever you're watching this channel. I want us to quickly delve into this story surrounding Rigathi Gachagua's arrest. You know, I've seen Murkomen, I've seen Kithure Kindiki and some ODM bigwigs talk about arrest on Rigathi Gachagua. Now, talking about the arrest, there are photos which have been shared here of vehicles believed to be from the DCI. And there's a message here about more than 100 DCI officers who had gone to Rigathi Gachagua's home to arrest him. And this is in line, or this is in response to the statement he made during one of the YouTube channels, an interview on one of the YouTube channels. I believe you followed those interviews. And that statement was all about post-election violence and the violence that Rigathi prophesizes that will be experienced should William Ruto rig the elections. Now, I want us to quickly look at these statements because this is a statement that the government has not welcomed, the fact that Rigathi talked about violence if elections are rigged. Now, before we explore this story, I'd like to pose a question to you. Let us assume Rigathi Gachagua is arrested. What do you think is going to happen? Let us assume that Rigathi Gachagua is now arrested. What do you think is going to happen? Just tell us below on the comment section there. So first and foremost, before I explore this analysis further, allow me to take you through a tweet from someone by the name Honorable Mumboi. And Honorable Mumboi says something here. Breaking news. 100 plus DCI officers later this evening at Rigathi Gachagua's home to arrest him. This is after his 207 post-election violence remarks at the Obina show. Gachagua 2007 PV Rigi G1 term. Okay, in short, this tweet is talking about the arrest on Rigathi Gachagua. So, before we explore this story further, ladies and gentlemen, kindly support this channel by liking this video to enable you to share it. Subscribe to this channel if you're not subscribed before. And to our existing subscribers, I want to continue thanking you so much because without you, this channel won't have grown. Now, let us quickly go into these remarks from Kindiki, the remarks from Murkomen. And because I posed a question to you about what you think will happen to Rigathi to the country should Rigathi Gachagua get arrested. First and foremost, let us go into a statement from Kithure Kindiki. This is what Kithure Kindiki said.
Watu wanatabiri vita. Nataka niwahakikishie wananchi wote wa Kenya kwa niaba ya serikali na kwa niaba ya Rais William Ruto ya kwamba uchaguzi mkuu wa mwaka 2027 utakuwa wa huru na haki. Lakini mambo ya vita haitawezekana tena, ndugu wa nchi moja wa taifa moja kupigana kwa sababu ya mambo ya siasa na uchaguzi. We will not allow it to happen.
Now, very well, ladies and gentlemen, let us also go into a statement that Murkomen delivered because these statements are leading us to something. Let us listen in to Murkomen also.
There is no leader who is above the law. And every leader, if you have your political problem, don't turn your personal political problems to be a national crisis. You are an individual and we will deal with you and deal with you decisively. Unajua, mara nyingi kwa nini impunity inaendelea kwa nchi ni kwa sababu we overlook the things some people do. Kuna watu siku ngine juzi wakati tunataka kupanga mambo ya kuleta order in the country wanaenda shamba ya former president wanaipa mbuzi na kondoo. Wakati last year young people wana protest kwa mambo ya finance bill because they have a right to do so. Wanaenda pale, wanaenda kuleta goons, wanataka kuchoma bunge na kusema ati Ruto must go.
Very well, ladies and gentlemen, all these three gentlemen are pointing to one thing. Arrest Rigathi Gachagua. We can arrest Rigathi Gachagua. Rigathi Gachagua is not above the law. That is the message. But Let us focus on the statement from Rigathi. You know, I've been listening to that statement. I've listened to it quite some time, trying to imagine what Rigathi Gachagua could have meant with the statements. Rigathi was merely trying to throw a warning to the whichever faction thinks about rigging. You know, in 2007, let's be honest, ladies and gentlemen, in 2007, Raila Amolo Odinga won that election. That is something that we cannot deny, or, you know, Raila won that election. But you remember what happened. The only sad thing is that the people who are responsible there, one of them is Martha Karua. Martha Karua was in the team that was believed to have rigged the elections back then. But let's not talk about that involvement of Martha Karua now, though we know that she's the one who is always being blamed when it comes to the issue of Tharaka Nithi. She engineered that rigging. But let us just forget her in this analysis. Let's focus on Rigathi's statement. You know, in 2007, the country was divided. More than 60% did not want Kibaki. And Raila Amolo Odinga had a huge following back then. And he beat Kibaki. Yeah, he did. He beat Kibaki. That's the truth, ladies and gentlemen. But the result is as per what you saw. Whatever Kivutu announced, niyo ilikuwa announced. But Rigathi is telling William Ruto, it is very specific, that if you attempt to rig the elections, Kenya is going to burn. We do not want to experience a scenario like what we saw in 2007. Hisiwahi fanyika. In fact, if Kenyans are right now, even if elections are rigged, people should be calm. I mean, what we saw in 2007 ni kitu ambacho tungependa hii nchi ipitie. But was Rigathi Gachagua trying to prepare Kenyans for that scenario?
Nikisikiza Wakenya vile wanasema wewe mje usijaribu kuiba uchaguzi. Na nimeuliza IEBC, please be patriotic, usiweke nchi kwa shida. Because history has shown where there is a contested election, there can be violence.
Because we all know that IEBC reconstitution is underway. It's at the final stages, but there is a petition in court that seeks to stop Erastus, who is the IEBC chair, from assuming that office. Those petitions are still in parliament. I think are still in the courts, 2 of them. So if these petitions sail through, then Erastus hatakuwa confirmed or grilled. But again, there's a probability that Erastus will be grilled, but again denied salary, because that petition is a bit complex. So what I'm trying to say, ladies and gentlemen, is that Rigathi has looked at IEBC, the nominees there, and especially the fact that Erastus, who is related to the former governor of Turkana, Nanok, is the one who has been given the help, who has been entrusted with IEBC, chairing IEBC commission, is the person who is going to replace Chebukati. So the fact that that is already out in the public domain, opposition leaders wamekataa IEBC. So when Rigathi goes out to make such statements, I think Rigathi is trying to play William Ruto's cards. Take a look at this. During 2022, William Ruto talked about rigging, and he told Uhuru, warned Uhuru against rigging. And then it looks like Uhuru alipata the threat na akaamua kwamba rigging isifanyike. That is why on the side of Raila there was no rigging. But people blamed the side of Ruto and Rigathi that there was much rigging. So when Rigathi goes out to mention stuffs like rigging, maybe Rigathi knows something that we don't know. Maybe Rigathi knows the truth about how they survived in that election. maybe elections were rigged. Maybe Rigathi Gachagua is telling Kenyans that in 2022 they stole the election, and most likely the same trick is going to be used in 2027 to steal the election. So what Rigathi is trying to do is actually preparing the Kenyans that should this happen, be prepared to take over matters, take matters in your hands. But taking matters in your hands is the right thing. That's why the DCI, if this tweet is telling the truth, that almost under DCI wameenda kwa Rigathi Gachagua's home wakitaka kumkamata. If that, so ladies and gentlemen, just go below in the comment section and react about this arrest of Rigathi Gachagua, the looming. Rigathi has countered the statements which were delivered by Kithure Kindiki and Murkomen. Na amewambia kwamba my statements were gotten out of context. That is not what I said. That is what Rigathi Gachagua is telling Murkomen, Kindiki, Atandi, and the like. Those other members of parliament who are also castigated Rigathi Gachagua. So perhaps if you're watching this video and you've not subscribed, take 1 second and subscribe, like this video. Until you catch up again, stay safe and stay blessed.